damn, where's my phones? No. No. Oh, yes. Ha! I thought I left them downstairs. This spare iPhone and Android makes its way around my house all day long. Oh, I bet.
Did you hear from Amin today?
No. I sent him a message on Slack last night, actually, so let me check and see if he responded to that one, because it was one that... No.
Yeah, okay. I might not see him today. Should we get started?
Yeah, I need to follow up with Mike on something real quick, so go ahead. Ahmed, can you kick it off? Gonna be multitasking for a minute.
Can we start?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't have another task. So again, I today work on writing test cases. So I made good progress. Today again I written 5 more test cases. Writing test cases is getting too much we need to mock every data now, so it's irritating sometimes. So yeah, it is in progress.
Wait, what was it? You said that it's getting too much what?
Mock data, we need to we are calling it database now, we are calling inside actual function. We are calling another function. So we have to mock every function inside our test cases.
Are you saying that it's going to reduce the performance of the...
No, not performance. For me, writing test cases is irritating.
Okay.
Mm.
So...
But making good progress there. I will show you something give me... So can you assign some other task also? So meanwhile, I can switch both the tasks, test cases and task also.
I got a couple N+1 queries I'll send you a minute.
Okay, send it to me, Jerry.
Great.
And John, we were talking about trust tip on the active discover field, right?
Yeah, what about it?
So Ismail is there, Ismail data also saying it, we will visit that logic and see what we can do there. Something with what EJ has written, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I have a philosophy: if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Okay.
And
was saying.
Yeah, right now I want to be careful not to get involved with something that could get worse. I mean, if it's not broken, let's not fix it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So what else?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ahmed.
Thank you.
Okay. Jerry, let's get your update.
Just send me the N+1 one.
Okay, yeah, I'll send that to you. Yeah, I got a couple PRs on the front end side in flight. We're kind of waiting on a means to view those. That's kind of with the A&R issue, and there was another. Shoot, I'll have to find it. I was warming some food, but yeah, I took a look at that session replay you sent me, John. I'll just state this for the team. The user onboarded. They allowed contacts, but they were on iOS, and iOS has that 2-step system where you have to either allow all contacts or select the contacts that you want to allow. And the user went the second route, but they did not select any contacts. So it reported as contacts were allowed, but no contacts were technically granted access. And they got a weird flow because it sent them to your friends and Sircles screen, even though they didn't have any contacts. I sent that to Ismail. Maybe he could take a look at it. But for a more open discussion, we should really discuss what if we could possibly look into or handle any case in iOS where somebody does not allow their full contact book.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe even just an empty state on that screen would be sufficient, because like,
well, we're gonna want to notify them, like,
yeah,
you know, you're gonna want to ping them a couple more times, because
right. That's my intention with the empty state. Would say there would be a message there that says, you selected 0 or something like that, or you said maybe later, whatever the button was.
Well, what if they partially allow their contacts? Because if they partially allow their contacts, they will, they could add more contacts to their contact book, and it never gets synced. Like, the app's not going to ask them anytime they add a new contact, hey, we see you got new contacts, do you want to allow it to Sircles?
Yeah.
So,
well, that's wait a minute. That's a good point. Now that I think about it, what if, like, let's say I have 1,000 contacts and it says share all 1,000 contacts. I say yes. Then, wait, this already works.
That's the current flow. That's fine. But let's say you have 1,000 contacts.
Yeah, but my question is, then I add a contact in the future. I now have 1,001. Technically, I didn't allow that 1,001, but it does show up though.
You allowed, what happened is when you hit that first option, you allow your entire contact book.
Well, no, they changed the button. The button used to say share all contacts as one of the choices, which was decent, you know, like, okay, not so bad. Like, at least your choices one by one or all. Now, with 18 software version 18.3 something, whatever I'm on, they changed the button. And that makes it even less. That actually made me pause, and I'm like, oh, do I want to share all these? And it fucking got me. So of course it's going to slow people down, and it also implies that I'm sharing 1,331. But if I add another one in the future, is that one included?
That's a good question. I would like to assume that they just changed the text, and when you hit allow all, like the allow 1331, that it covers all current and future contacts.
I think it does, because I added Danny's test phone yesterday and it showed up. So,
right. But the case,
yeah.
But the second case where it's like select individual contact,
right, that one maybe prevents a new contact, doesn't it? That is so annoying. It's like so half-baked, this plan of theirs. Like, it's like, I don't know what is up their ass to like make it so hard for apps to do what they used to do freely. That's so irritating. And right at the time when we really need the engagement. Anyway, we need to handle it the best we can. So, and I think an empty state message there where it's like you only allowed you said select later or whatever. I'll let me think about that a little more. Let's
that we'll have to actually test app side and see what Expo Contacts allows us to see, because it might just tell us yes or no if they allow contacts. It may not say if a partial contact book was allowed.
Right.
That's another.
Yeah. You look into that? Is that something you can see?
Yeah, we could see what Expo Contacts has. Because yeah, that would be a good reminder for, we can like put a banner or something, some messaging somewhere saying, hey, we're not going to get your new contacts.
Yeah.
Or if there's a way you could like bring up that screen from any app. So if you like click a button, like a manage button, it shows the list of it, like the native interface comes up. Where
that would be great. I just assumed you cannot, but maybe you can.
Maybe. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know if we've really checked into that or not.
Yeah, will you do a little digging? I'm sure it's very accessible through their docs and just like a little quick search. let me know. That would be helpful. We could bring that back up. Because then they could have, because then we can prompt them again, just allow them all.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to select, I have 1,000 plus. It's like, they're ridiculous. I'm not going to hand pick a few. I mean, it's going to be all or nothing.
Mm-hmm. Well, this person did 0.
Right. It's kind of going to be, I have a feeling for most people it'll be all or nothing.
Right.
So,
And,
yeah.
that's just the communication in the app, kind of how it's saying, even though you saw in the session replay, it said they allowed contacts.
Yeah.
Even though 0 contacts came through, it's because they allowed contact permissions.
Yeah, but that's where there is some hope, because they did technically allow the permission, so maybe we can pull up that modal where they select versus going to settings.
Right.
And that may be a saving grace. So let me know what you find out.
Okay.
What else? There's some major bugs that we did not address. Like Chantel was typing a search and it was going white screen and things like that.
Yeah, that was a PR that we're going to send to Amin. It looked like, remember I sent you a change that he did? It was something for like the map.
That's right, yeah. So you have a PR for it?
No, I don't have a PR, but it was Amin's PR that broke it. So I sent it to him to take a look at.
Okay.
But yeah, since he's not in.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait on that. But what else? There's some other critical things going on here.
Yeah, it's getting tricky to track all these things. I almost want to propose that we kind of know that we could try to bring back the Trello board, because there are a lot of things that are important. And
yeah, we already talked about that earlier in the week. I think Ian mentioned it actually. We're going to start doing that again with the tickets. It's too hard to keep track of all this stuff.
I agree. Yeah, well, maybe we can try it out for next week.
Yeah, let's plan on that. Okay. And Ian's good he's been using Trello for a long time with the web team.
Mm-hmm.
So and he's organized.
Let's see. Because right now my only thing is going through Slack. So let's see.
Yeah, I was working with Ian on that, and one of the things that we decided might be kind of good is for there to be a column for each developer. So for a thing that shows all the bugs, and then we can put it for each developer so everyone can stay on top of their own tasks.
That makes sense. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Let's see what else we have. I'm looking at that session replay that was empty. Oh yeah, the big group, the 1,500 person group that was in some lobbies, that's removed. But it sounds like Amin worked on that compose update, and it sounds like it's done. But I sent it to him for clarification, so I don't have a definitive answer on that yet.
Oh, the compose update that will prevent something like that.
Correct.
Yeah, that's been in the last couple of builds.
Yeah, that bad message, it's the only one like it. It's been out. I mean, that was 20 days ago, so that would be before the past couple builds.
Yeah, so I think it actually might have made it into the App Store. I know it's been in our test apps, but okay, good. Okay, so then what else?
Let's see. Going through some things. Okay, so we got the onboarding thing. It looks like the onboarding thing was fixed, but there was an issue when Danny tried to onboard from his main account and not a test phone, where he got a timeout. And the reason he got a timeout was he had a lot of contacts in his he had a lot of people who had him in his contacts. It was like 160 users, and it could periodically time out. It was like right at the threshold. But whenever you onboard, we are using the notification queue to schedule out notifications 45 seconds after you verify your phone number. So we can give you, it was something to where we don't interrupt. We don't have people follow them back immediately during onboarding. We added the delay. And because it was trying to queue up 160 messages, it was timing out just running through all those operations individually, and it was awaiting the call, kind of similar to what we were doing yesterday in a different scenario with the report location and an await call. But I just removed that await call since we don't have to depend on it for the mutation to return. And that's a race condition. Like I said, it's a timeout. It was very close to the threshold. So any a variance, if it's like just a little bit slower than what it's expected, it would cause the the spinning to go on for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it only affected users who had like hundreds of people. Very like if you probably tried to onboard from your main account, or Tori or Chantel, somebody who knows a lot of people, or somebody who has a lot of people in Circles already, would face this. So new users are likely fine, but this was just an edge case. But it should be fixed now in production now, so Danny can onboard back in.
You know what's funny is I didn't even have to. I had stopped after the last time it got rejected, and I put the app in the background because I was driving, and then when I opened it back up after I got home, it actually pushed me through.
Yeah, and that's probably because it had your token, like your Firebase authentication went through, so it tried to refetch in the background, and it saw you were already in the app.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jerry. Let's go to Ismail. Hey, Ismail, we didn't get a build yet with the custom topics, did we? How's that going?
Hey, we did not yet know. The PR still need a review. That's why I'm holding off on a build, which I don't know if anything is in today or not. But
No, he's sick.
yeah, so we're kind of waiting for a review before I create that build, because there's multiple PRs, and I don't want to kind of create a mess. You really need to get those PRs reviewed and merged.
Okay.
So yeah, no build yet.
Okay. What else you have going on?
Well, I'm working on that Friend Connect. So I'm running into a few challenges. Basically, I'm at the part where I kind of added the conditions to clear out the certain buttons instead of skipping. So it doesn't skip if they're a friend and they are in your contact. Instead, it shows our modal. Now the problem is, you know how we have a skip button on the top right? The thing is with modals is that you can't press what's under them. So in order for you to click that skip button, you have to kind of hide the modal and then click the skip button.
Is the modal the drawer?
The drawer, that's the modal, yeah.
Well, maybe it doesn't need to be a modal.
Yeah, so that's how I usually had it. So that's where I kind of might need to do some refactoring.
So you're saying if you tap anywhere else, it dismisses the modal first.
It doesn't dismiss it, doesn't do anything. You have to dismiss the modal first from the knob and then click anywhere in the background. That's the current behavior.
I see.
So
the modal,
yeah.
even though it's not full screen, it
takes up the full screen, yeah.
takes it up.
Yeah, like it's transparent, so it still overlays it.
Right. What about a drawer?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do, but I need to so I'm trying to find a way where if I can make it a modal or a drawer
How about
without changing the behavior or the style. So like the same component.
Yeah, I don't think it even needs to have any interactivity really. I could make it a Lottie animation. Maybe that'd be easier.
Make what a Lottie animation?
Just that whole image. Well, it'll be white, and then we just put the emojis over the top. We do that kind of like on the.
Not sure I follow. Are you talking about the drawer itself?
Yeah, you know how like the drawer with the coins on it.
Oh, yeah, but those are not interactive.
Yeah, only in the sense of if you tap it, it disappears.
Okay. Oh yeah. Also another thing. Once it disappears, we have no way to pull it back up.
Right.
Is that intended?
Um, it's not ideal. So what are our options? Like you have modal's an option, drawer is an option, Lottie, no.
I won't take Lottie as an option. I don't think we need to make a Lottie. I'm trying to make this modal where I can make it I can like make it flip from a modal to a drawer, but I'm just trying to click via prop, so the modal would be kind of reusable. Because
It'll have to be full screen.
well, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to be able to switch it between a modal and a prop, like a modal and a drawer.
Okay.
So
What does
I'm
that
working
mean?
on a solution where it's more of a like not a workaround or a hack. It's more of like this component is flexible enough where I can control the height of it. I can control if it's a modal or a drawer. I can, that kind of
I
stuff.
got you. Okay.
So even though it's gonna take the initial well, I don't think it's possible first, but if it is, then it'll be reusable throughout the whole app. You don't have to keep creating lotties and stuff like that.
Well, if it's possible, someone's already done it. So I would just
well, not necessarily to like have it flippable. Like sure, you might find a drawer and then you might find a modal. But what I'm trying to do is just keep it the same component and like ideally like switch between them. So like I said, I'm just gonna spend some time. If it's too complex, I'll probably just use a drawer.
Okay, I mean, I would venture to guess that this, based on our design, there's many solutions that have been implemented over the years.
Well, this kind of thing is more like if you want a solution, you're gonna have to download a library, which is not gonna fit our design, which is you know what I mean, like. And if they do allow custom styles or not, and then
I get what you're saying, but that's not really what I'm saying. I don't think we need a library with a lot of fancy properties and things like that. I think that there's probably a very elegant, simplistic framework that will accomplish what we want to accomplish. Because it's at the end of the day, it's just a white drawer. We can put, that's
and like I said, well, the nice thing about this one is that, like I said, I made it super customizable. So if it's not gonna work, I'll use a custom one. I'll find one online. But if I can easily trigger it, we already know it works fine. We know it works without the app.
But I'm not suggesting to find one online. I'm suggesting to find the solution online and then follow the pattern that you see that I imagine many people have employed a similar solution, and it may give you an idea of like, okay, I see how they did this. And then you can still make your own, but you know that many other companies have done it successfully.
Correct. So yeah, like I said, I want to see if I have like an idea in mind, and if it doesn't work, then I'll take that route. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but long story short, yeah, I'll have a solution. Then I'm just kind of explaining where I'm at right now with this.
Okay.
So that being said, yeah. So after I get that done, I need to add that text. So like it's like the screen right now has everything set up except for the what's it called, the chat, the input text and the emojis. So I need to map those out inside the modal. After that's mapped out, then we can then I need to connect them where it actually sends a message to that person.
Cool.
Yeah, and then after that, I'll have the PR up for this specific feature.
Okay. And don't forget about the emoji animation.
Yeah, there's that too. So, yeah, it's going to be keeping pretty busy today. So, I'm going to get back to it.
Okay, cool.
I guess dropping like 5, but I'll be back soon.
Okay, no worries. There probably should be some kind of toast after you hit send as well.
Sure.
Or
and after you hit send,
actually, you know what?
Well,
navigate to the chat.
Well, we probably don't want it because like after you hit send, it's going to continue the flow. Remember the recommendation.
Oh yeah, good point. So that's where. Well, with the heart, and if you did like a emoji animation, that's sufficient. You don't need any toast. If somebody typed a message and hit send, a toast that says message sent and then it continues would probably be a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, cool. All right, great. Thank you for the update.
No problem.
And catch you when you get back.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks. Let's go to Wells.
Hey, sir, here I am.
Hey, Wells, how's it going?
Yeah, really good stuff. As I mentioned yesterday, for the main feature I'm working on, which is the possibility of you removing the friend suggestions that you see on the send separately screen. We already have most of the structure there, front-end wise, and I already communicated Jerry on what we need back-end wise. So I continued working on that. I am porting the contacts view so you can search your contacts and you can add a friend to this list here at the moment. So that's what I'm currently working. And I do have other requests and stuff to do regarding on the hamburger menu, changing the behavior when you click on the photo of the person. So making so when you click there, you actually go to the flow of actually selecting your profile picture and etc. And also making the font bigger on the bio and making the bio pink in case it's the auto-generated bio. So I'll be working on that next. And yeah, other than that, the updates from yesterday, I started a little bit late today, thanks to the trip. And ended up, I got a different bus company and they were late in absolutely everything. So I got here like super late in my parents' house. So yeah, pretty much same updates as last day and the other day.
Okay, great.
Plus,
very good. Yeah, what were you saying?
Yeah, plus some cool stuff. But yeah, also the PR for the stuff we were working yesterday with Jerry and Ismail for changing the one thing now add SMS to actually adding a tag, name it phone. The PR for that was approved today and merged, so that's also merged.
Okay, good. That's the one that's gonna prevent that notification issue, right?
Yeah, it should help with that, hopefully.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna want to test that. Okay, great. Do you have any questions for anyone?
Nope, so far so good.
Okay, good. And yeah, what's up, Jerry?
Unrelated to Wells, but the contacts. So Expo Contacts doesn't have a way to see if you've given partial access. The only way that they really recommend is you can see if they've allowed contacts, and then from there, see if you have 0 contacts available, or maybe you have less than 10 contacts available, and you can give extra prompting on the front end side for that. But it looks like part that in the name of security, either security or Apple trying to gatekeep everything, it's there's no way to say that they have more contacts than what the app can see.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. What about pulling up that selector? If permission was allowed, can we pull up the selector?
Yeah. Just saw something. Sure. Present form. What does this present form do? Let's see. Present form that works. Give me one. Checking. If anything, it sounds like it might just be a link back to the settings app. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a, yeah, it's just saying, yeah, there's no method to bring up the contact sheet other than a button that links to the app settings in iOS.
That is such bullshit. Because, sure, you want to be ultra protective of privacy, fine. But why make it 10 steps harder to allow contacts if the user changes their mind? How hard would it be for them to just allow us to bring up the selector? That is such bullshit. Don't get me started on Apple. I used to really love that company, but they're going to the dark side.
They're really good at preventing people from doing things unless it's them that's doing it.
Exactly. That's about what I was going to say. They will track your location and not tell you. But every other app, it's like multiple warnings, and the scary ones, they'll show plots on a map to show you where you've been tracked to freak you out, but they won't do it for their own apps.
Yeah, like Find My. Find My is a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's
yeah. I mean, tons of their apps run in the background, and they bury it under the settings at the very bottom of settings to find it. When it's their apps. That's so frustrating because, it wouldn't be that bad if we could just bring up that selector.
Yeah. But
bringing it back, so I imagine bringing them back to settings means they got to go to settings, and they got to go through the steps to get to the right app and all that, and then they bring up a selector, and then they still got to deal with the selector after that, right?
Yeah. So if I go to my app settings, let's see. So right now my apps state where I only have no contacts allowed. Let me go to my apps.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Circles, and let's see what it's going to do. Circles, and then you hit contacts, and it says contacts, limited access. And then you click it, and it says contact access, none, limited, or full access.
Okay. So
then you have to click edit selected contacts, and that brings up the sheet of all the contacts, and it's a list in alphabetical order. It's not intuitive if you have a large contact book.
Right.
But there is at least a one-click option to allow full access.
That's good. Will you send me some screenshots of what you just looked at, and then what I want to do is I want to stay here with Chantel and create some Figma designs on how to handle it.
Yeah. With settings, Circles. Yeah, I just sent you the what it looks like.
Okay. So, do you have a dark mode situation, or is this just how it always is?
I have dark mode on.
Okay. Okay, cool.
This is iOS app settings. This is not in Circles.
Yeah, I know. I was wondering if I looked at it, it'd probably have a white background.
Yeah, no, I have dark mode on.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, then I want to stay here with Chantel and try and handle some of these cases. So, anything else anyone wants to add? Okay. What are you going to work on next year?
I'm going back to the biz portal. I need to give them a couple of the N+1 queries, but I'm going back to the biz portal. I'm really just going through all the flows and starting to clean up the code, making sure that those flows are combined. I also need to make a new admin page. We're going to have a page for like the pending businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And we can have that in there, and that way I can give Todd and Danny and Chantel access. They already have access through the old portal that Jeff Robinson made, and I mean, it works. But as far as like triggering the emails and stuff, it won't be able to trigger the emails that we're trying to send through that old portal unless we modify it, which I think we're trying to like not touch it as much as we can right now.
Okay. Todd's going to work with you on the flows for adding businesses, and then once he claims a business, managing the profile, like I think he had trouble with the photos.
He went on the old portal. He went on, at least from what I saw, it looked like he was on the old site. He wasn't on the new one. He was on. I gave him access to the old one just to get the admin view to grant access. But the management of photos and stuff, that should be in the new portal.
Yes.
So, Todd, were you on the new portal or the old one?
Regarding what exactly?
John said he had a picture issue of photos.
Did I? I went through it a couple of times already, and it seemed okay. I'll double check though.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. I just got asked to the admin panel reports last night, but on the
You were saying like the picture was really small or something. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I'll be going through it again today. I don't recall.
Okay, yeah, I can guarantee there's going to be areas of improvement.
Oh,
Make
for
sure
sure.
that we're on,
No doubt.
Make sure we're on the new site, Sircles.com, and not biz.circles.
Yes, not biz.circles,
is the old site.
Well, and everything,
Yeah, correct.
he's going to be accessing it through the app as any user would.
Yes.
Okay,
So-
well, then that's a separate flow, but it's in the new site if you access through the app.
Right.
So if he goes through the app, is he, I mean, obviously that's what everyone else is seeing. So that's where he's going to be tested. Is that the right place?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Now there is a separate set of testing because there's a separate interface if you're coming directly from the web. But the primary would be
my desktop.
right, desktop or just not in the app. But yeah,
I'm going through both sides.
yeah, primary would probably be from the app.
Start with the app, Todd,
And when we gotta,
and do everything, right? And about us,
Yep.
manage photos, manage trust tips, all
And
areas.
the categories is one I got to make sure is straight as well.
Exactly.
yeah, oh,
Categories are on the business match.
that brings up a good one. So the categories in the app. So Todd was saying how the categories did not match. In the admin did not match what was displayed in the app, and well, that's because the app is not displaying all the categories quite. So we have icons that are assigned to certain categories. And the icons that have categories, those are aggregated. And let's say you have a category where the top level icon is the Ferris wheel, or another that's, I don't know, the wine glass. Those are the icons that'll show on the profile in the app, is just whichever categories you assign to that profile have icons assigned to it in the database. The text categories that display underneath those, the app is just selecting the first 3 categories of any level and displaying that.
Can you show me?
Yeah. Let me get a simulator hooked up, and I can show you the code that's powering it.
Okay, we can let Amit go. Thanks, Amit.
Yeah. I know I need to send him something, but yeah, he can go.
Yep, Jerry sent it to me. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
Yep, you too.
All right, let me just go through here and.
Todd, there are several duplicate images here. Did you attempt to delete any of these?
On which profile?
Can you see Jerry's screen?
I do.
Go ahead, Jerry. Go ahead. Back. Remember we talked about this the other day?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and I went through, and this is one of the things I have to work with Jerry on. I did delete them from the admin portal, so from my view, it did remove them, but has not removed them from here.
Okay, so were you aware of
That's a
that?
screen picture.
This
No, I haven't gone to that with them yet.
this is in QA. This is not production. So if they're deleted, it yeah.
Oh,
We should check production. Oh,
Yeah.
Make sure you guys are seeing this all the way through.
I got it.
Okay.
So what's it look like in production?
Well, I'm trying to explain the categories right now.
I know on the side. I'm asking Todd.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it. I'll show you. I'll tell you.
Okay, here. Icon or something. Let me find the it was miles away. There we go. And profile place, and then tag icons here. And then we take the categories and we here we go. So okay. So where's my debugger? That's not it. This is it. All right, so props.categories, these are the categories that are being passed to the app. And for this one, there happens to only be 3. Might want to find another one. This wasn't a good example. But it's
What do you mean 3 properties?
3 categories for this business, for tech.
Well, is that okay? That's
No, there could be, I think Roseville has more categories. Yeah, this one has, or maybe no, this one only has 3 as well.
But I think when you claim it, it becomes 3.
I don't think there's any logic behind that. Let me try and find.
Unless Todd might have removed some categories.
No?
Yep. Okay.
3.
How was that bar crawl in there? That's not right.
Well, this is QA, so it could be just this
Okay.
this QA testing that I'm doing, because I'm modifying these in QA. So if the categories are not correct, then that's just probably I in QA have access to all the businesses, so I might just be testing with 1 or 2. I do dogs because I know I was messing with this one. I'm not. I delete HR. Yeah, that's not elite dogs, but let's see. Yeah, this one only has 2 categories. Let's go back to
Can you go to Tech to You again and use the How Avenue location?
Howe Avenue. But we will see.
Those 3 categories are not what's in the Manage portal.
Let me find this in the dev version of the app though. So this is in. Let me get the. Let's see, tag icons. Let me get the.
So John, the photo situation does work. The only potential issue, I'm not sure it's urgent by any means, but when you make changes to the photos and you back out to look at it, nothing has changed on the profile side. You have to leave the app, come back in the app, and then go to the profile, and then it looks fine.
Okay.
I'm not
So
saying
that's you're saying it did remove the duplicate photos, or something?
Yeah, yes, you absolutely can.
It just didn't appear that it did at first.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's I think a caching thing. Or
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's no save option it just works. When you make the changes and then it's done. There's nothing that says save, which is fine.
But yeah, no, that's not though, because remember, I want you to take careful note of anything that doesn't feel right. Like if you're
right.
if you're expecting like a confirm screen, or like a are you sure?
Yeah, no, Yeah, I'm not expecting a save function. It's nice that it was one less step. You just make it happen and it works. The issue is just that it didn't. I was thinking it maybe a button is required to refresh the profile. So when I go back to it, I see the changes. Right now, I'm not saying that would work. I don't know anything on the back end or how that's supposed to work. I'm just saying right now, once I make the changes, which I expect to work as it is, when I back out to the profile and swipe through the photos, they're all still there until I close the app, reopen it, refresh it, and then those photos are gone from the profile.
I got you.
So I'm not sure what we can do to make that happen in real time and not have to close the app to make it happen.
Let's ask Jerry when he's ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think if I overheard right, it's that this screen is not updating properly.
Correct. That's not updating properly. When I manage it, I can make the extra pictures disappear on the back end, but on this, from where you're looking right now, they still show until you close the app and reopen.
Maybe not close and reopen, but if you like backed out of it and like research for it.
Yeah.
Essentially, what I'm thinking is this page would have to reload anytime you back out of this.
Right.
So
that's why I was wondering if a button could be used, and I don't know if that would even help the situation.
What about a like pull down to refresh?
Maybe. I don't know that that's clear up front, but
yeah, I
don't
talk about it more.
Yeah, I don't like that because it's not clear.
Do I?
Yeah, the only other thing would be is when you back out the web view, it just reloads this page, but it would be like a full re-render.
Right.
But you would have to update all the information.
Is that bad? Is that worse than having to back all the way out and research for it and come back again?
I mean, as long as you, John, I guess as long as it's okay with you, like we can just reload everything that's on this page.
Just in the case of the admin, the owner of the page making a change.
Right. Well, the trigger would be any time that you back out this web view, then it would reload.
Yeah, I see. And that's where you would expect it, right, Todd?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. It works.
Okay. Yeah. This would be an app side update, but we can listen when that web view is closed.
Okay.
Yeah, you're presenting it in a way that sounds like this comes at a heavy cost in some way by doing this. Am I hearing that right?
The screen will blank out. It will go back to a spinner, and then the page will load. So, as long as you're okay with the page just reloading.
Yeah, I hear you. I just don't know what that means necessarily visually. I have to experience to see it.
So like if you're going here, you see how normally if it takes longer than a couple seconds, you'll get a spinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to see if I can like create the Let's see. Maybe if we did.
If it doesn't take more than a second, that's probably okay. I'd expect it to, after I'm making changes to it on the back end, I'd expect a slight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so look, spinner, like this. You get this for like maybe a second or so while it reloads everything on here.
Okay.
I didn't catch it. Was there a spinner there?
There was for about 2 seconds, 3 seconds.
No, I'm just manually putting the spinner in here right now.
Oh, I see.
But now, see, it loads so fast that it doesn't even pull the spinner.
Okay.
Well, yeah, as long as it doesn't come at too much of a cost in experience, so.
Shouldn't be a frequently done flow.
Yeah, because it's only business owner.
Right.
Changing photos is a very rare.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. We're not going to be able to tell if a change was done. I'm just going to say anytime, keep it simple. Anytime you close out this web view, we just reload this page.
Wait. Are there other ways to be in the web view? Are you saying that anyone that's in a web view that's not an admin or manager of a profile? Or are we only talking about someone who's managing a profile?
Well, really, when the business is claimed, you shouldn't see this button.
Understood.
Yeah,
So
so
that's what I'm saying. Okay.
right. So once it's claimed, it would only be that manager that has access here.
But let's say that, well, if you click it right now though, and it takes you to the web view, right?
Correct. This is the
So
web view.
backing back out will refresh it, even if you're not the owner.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, that's just you
Okay. I
being.
mean, again, this should be rare if someone's messing up.
Yeah, you're messing around. You're being nosy. Then, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's okay.
Okay.
So far.
Okay. Was there anything else in that
Yeah. So
process, Todd? Like,
No, that was it.
okay.
So the categories, it looks like the back end is only returning 3 categories, it looks like. Let's see if this is correct. But they're not filtered in any way. So profile categories. Yeah, it's only returning 3 categories right now. And the categories that it's returning, computer IT services, data recovery, and electronics repair. But when you look at the database, pulling up the categories for this profile. Why is this not shrinking? Okay. Sorry, it's just running off the screen. But we have, where is it? Computer repair, computer IT services, data recovery, electronics repair. See, these guys don't have any sort or anything really assigned to them right now. It's just taking the first 3 by which logic. It doesn't look like that there's specific logic to pull out those categories right now. Like there's nothing here that varies. The sequence here is all 0.
Yeah, I mean, I have a ton of questions here.
Yeah, it looks like it's just returning 3 categories, but then from these 3 categories, it takes, okay, so we have computer IT, data recovery, and electronics. And then it goes and it looks at the icon, which says computer repair. That's what translates over to the little desktop showing here.
Okay. And what does that mean on the admin side, as the business owner who doesn't see those 3 categories to manage? He just sees 2. Like right now, if you look at
right now,
management side,
you'd see the 5 on the management QA.
No, I see 2.
Well, again, this is QA.
I know, but they've been unmanaged though. So why would QA be any different than prod?
It could be me making changes in QA.
Okay.
Yeah, like the data. Well, data isn't expected to match, like because especially if I'm going and I'm making changes in here, there could be discrepancies.
But the 3 that we see on the profile, those do match. I'm just saying prod, I see the same things you do here on the business profile, but on the back end you're saying, or in QA, from my side as managing, I just see 2 categories and none of them are in those 3 that I see.
Yeah.
And I just want to figure out with you, number 1, those 3 that we see on the profile, if a manager is, if this has never been claimed, is there any situation where those 3 would ever change in any way? Like when people choose to favorite tech to you,
I think once the first
categories.
Yeah, I think once the first 3 are determined, that stays there. We can change this, of course.
But that's okay. I would think that's okay until you manage it. It's a good reason for someone to claim your business,
Right?
management, and then be able to adjust those categories.
Exactly.
I'm trying to find. So parent.
We just need to figure out how to make the profile categories match to what the admin sees or the business owner sees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me explain here too, though. On the app side, it's only pulling 3 categories right here.
I understand.
So I think right now the admin has a limit of like, is it 5 or 6 categories?
Actually, I don't think there's a limit on how many categories can be selected. in the background, we just display 3.
Correct.
Right.
There's no limit. Like if you wanted to put more, you could. It would just probably back to the next line and show.
No, we would only display 3.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. It's like right now, by choice, we're displaying 3.
Yeah.
We display. Okay.
So yeah, because in theory, like customers may favorite under lots of different categories: happy hour, breakfast.
Yeah.
And that's maybe valuable information for the business owner to see. Like, oh wow, maybe I should use this 4th category as a primary category that I wasn't thinking of.
Right.
Is
displaying the category different than how the business profile is searched by category? Like you can use filters like in the map view, you can go to categories and search certain category. For example, this says computer IT services, are those 3 that we see.
Yeah, I know what you're asking. I'm sure that anybody that favorited it under any category that does allow it to show up under that category.
Okay.
If you're following, or if it's community tab picked, or if you're following them, you would see it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Until, and let's make sure of this, but until the owner claims it and then walks down 3.
Yeah.
I think, but I'm not positive on that. But that might not be the case, because nevertheless, like I still might want to recommend this place. It's happy hour, and even though the owner didn't pick it, I still want you to go get their happy hour.
Right.
So, this is good discussions to have around this stuff.
Yep.
So if I go under computer and IT services, I can see Tech to You, and I see your icon over it, John. It has your trust tip, but if I filter it by that, but you're saying filter by a different category now? So filter by.
I mean, I'm not saying to do it. I'm just suggesting what John was just saying that I believe is probably true, that even though we're displaying only 3 categories, it's possible that you could show up under other categories if filtered as such, like in the map, for example.
Yeah, if it's been favorited under a different category, if it's been favorited under painter,
right,
it'll show up
as painter
on the map as a painter.
Right.
We can have admins, and we have done this, remove stray categories.
Right.
Or we can make it locked down to 3 max anyway. There's we just don't have enough data, like real world experience exactly. But we have options.
I get it.
Yeah, but at the moment, Jerry, it'll show up under any category it was favorited under if you go to the map under that category.
So if you go to map, anything it's favorited under, you're saying?
Yeah, so like I'm pretty sure one of the locations was favorited as 3D printing.
Yeah, I think that was. Which one was that? Okay.
The How Avenue.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we have that one on the wheel, but if you went to the filters tab, you could search for it and it would be there under 3D.
Sure. Right now on the back end, when I manage categories for How Avenue, I do see computer and IT services, but I also see one other category, just one, that says advertising, web, and digital.
Right, and we don't need that. I mean, maybe I don't know. We were doing
that's okay.
Actually,
that's all right. But it just doesn't match what I see, and maybe that's okay. Maybe we're only going to display the top 3. I'm not sure. That's what we haven't discussed yet.
You see it where does it not match?
So when I chose, for claim the business, for me now it says manage business.
Right.
Or manage. Yeah. And when I choose manage and go to the categories to manage, that's where I see only two categories.
Well, yeah, that's a problem.
To manage. Right. So that's what I'm trying to figure out why we gotta match these up with the profile.
Walk you through that.
Well, okay, I understand what we want to have the categories matching on both of them.
Yeah.
But I guess my question is what limits so we just want to show all the categories there, and there's no sorting or anything, because right now I know there was something we were talking about primary categories and secondary categories, but those I think all boil up to whatever primary categories each of the subcategories has, and that's what determines it.
Right. We don't let the owner change that.
Right. So like for 3D printing can't be a primary category. It comes
Right. It's only a child. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the primary categories, those are going to automatically be, derived from whichever categories you select.
Yeah. Well, then this is where it gets a little tricky. I've spent a lot of time with Eric on this.
Mm-hmm.
The top level categories are on the wheel. Okay, there's 2 wheels, right? So we have our very top, call those the main categories. There's 13 on the wheel. Okay, and so none of those are ever displayed. We don't display home services. We would go down a level. Wait, I might need to take that back. But no, I'm pretty sure we don't ever. There might be some rare occasions, but from there we have a subcategory underneath that should apply for every single type of business there is, because we have like 2,000 plus subcategories, and so there is a home service that will explain any type of business. There's, if so, we don't need to show home services. So we would show, but then now, so let's take a subcategory though where it has more children underneath that one. So like a great example of that is Asian food. There are many different types of Asian food. So Asian food has a parent category of restaurants, right, for food and drink. Okay, so now it the subcategory is Asian food, but even the Asian food one has a third level of Vietnamese, Chinese, Japanese, all those. So the way we did it is we do allow the higher level category like Asian food to be displayed if no child to that one has been picked, no third category. So if I favorite a place as an Asian food but not Chinese food necessarily, it'll show up broadly on the map under Asian food. But we do prioritize when we display on a card the final subcategory of Chinese food. We want, and here's where it gets a little trickier, and that's up to 3. So if there was only 2 ever picked, one was Asian food and one was Chinese food, we would show Asian food and we would show Chinese food. But if there's more than 3, we would prioritize the subcategories, the third level ones. So it might say Chinese food, Japanese food, Mongolian, and not Asian food. That's where it gets a little tricky. But
yeah,
I don't know how that factors into any of your thinking, Jerry.
So from what it sounds like, the logic here already exists. Is that correct?
That's true.
And I just need to find it.
Right. Yeah. You don't need to invent anything.
That's my takeaway, is that the logic that displays on the cards is already there.
Yeah.
And I just need to find it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nothing, no modifications going to be needed.
Correct. Okay. That's my takeaway. I'll just have to find where that logic comes from.
yes,
You worked with Eric on it. It's probably going to be on the database side.
Right. It is. Yeah. Okay. So then what else, Todd, as far as like your experience then?
So far it's been pretty good, other than the category. We're trying to figure out the categories.
Okay.
It's just what we currently see. So
is it
Yeah, so
not
far,
just like, even if Jerry gets the right ones displaying, is the interface sufficient, or is that still not?
I don't know. The interface needs some sort of improvement, because I'm also thinking, okay, right now, for example, yeah, we'll have to make some changes. What I'm looking at is managed categories. I'm looking at it as a business owner on my phone in Sircles. It's managed categories. And I only see the 2 categories, which we've been talking about, and that's fine. But if I try and add another one that says you've reached your maximum, you need please remove one.
Okay.
I don't know if it's saying a maximum that's already being displayed, or there's a maximum, I can only do 2.
Right.
managed
No,
categories.
that's wrong on every level. So this is the kind
Right.
of stuff too where that
Right.
Jerry needs to know about that.
Yeah, no, and I want to go through all this with them. I wasn't sure if you wanted to do this all now, or
Let's
I
do
can go all.
it now because I've been
areas.
messaging Chantal on the side.
Okay, good.
Chantal, you're getting my messages in Slack?
And this is also another thing maybe that we could, some of these things like the categories, like the notices and all, I feel like that's another thing that we could do like punch list and Trello for too. But some of these big things where you need to fully understand the requirements, that's going to require working sessions. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, maybe change this text to this. That would be better on maybe a Trello punch list, because that's what's going to be looked over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point.
As far as these categories and working with these on the management side, Gary, do you need to understand the what is it? Sorry, I can't think all of a sudden. How this is all being done in the first place, how the arrangements of the categories are, the logic behind it.
How the what behind the categories?
As far as what's being displayed, because
no, okay, but he was saying basically like he just needs to go with the logic that's already there.
Okay, right. He just doesn't know it yet.
Right, but just to use what is there and put it.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
So for us to do what we want to do as far as what we see on the screen,
actually, that is a good. Yeah, that's kind of a good question there, because
he doesn't know the logic.
Yeah, that's a good point. I see what you're asking. So Todd's saying, for the admin panel to conform to the rules and our logic, like you probably have to understand the logic yourself, because like it's not conforming right now. Todd was saying there was only 2 categories. You tried to add one, and it said you've reached your max. So like obviously that's not
right. Categories, right? The categories is, for example, the display of the categories. That's something I just need to discover looking through the logic you worked with Eric.
And you'll want to look on the management side too. I'm not sure if you have a way to look at what I'm looking at on QA. Look at the managed categories option as a business owner, and understand what it is that we're seeing, and how to manipulate it, and how to put things in order. And
yeah. So do like what? Make sure this is running in here. Darn it, back button. Okay, so yeah, this is your interface here.
Yeah. Categories, yeah.
It's just loading. Yeah,
there you go.
You only have these guys.
Oh, whoa! I didn't know I could even slide that, so that's a problem.
Oh, that's the thing. It's a slider. Yeah.
There you go. Hold on a sec. Holy shit! Okay, there you go. But
well,
it still.
So that should have red X's.
Yes.
Yeah,
I can't remove them. There's no option to remove them.
Yeah, there should have red.
That's not true. I'm not sure. At the very top, it does say edit. At the very top right.
Oh, yeah.
Red X does appear.
And then that's what does it.
Well, that's not even really necessary, is it? Because the red X could just be there. But like it already is in the filters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I see. Mm-hmm. But then there's also the other view, which is.
So wait a minute. Let me look at that again. I'll come back. So are the 3 marketing one just okay? No.
Let's see, here's the other web version of it. We'll have to check as well. And now that I know that how the derivatives of the primary and secondary categories go, I know how this will work. But yeah, this is the mobile view, and then this is the web desktop view. It's kind of mobile responsive. It will work on a phone, but this is what they'll see inside the app.
Okay. So you got rid of the edit button?
Yeah, no, work on it.
But yeah, it's not clear that you can slide those, obviously.
Mhm.
Perhaps we don't need a slider. Like we have all that screen space. We're only talking about a handful of categories. They should just be maybe listed. All right. Just put them all on the screen.
Okay.
That probably reach.
I mean, let's see if that's something.
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
Categories. Let's see.
All that white space is currently being used for search results. So I'm not sure how that, if we make a list, how does that affect the results?
Well, let's see. This is rough, but we'll just do. What could you spend some?
If there were 20 categories there. So what would be seen there? People, there could be dozens of categories associated with this business, right? Based on.
Yeah.
And that will happen.
Theoretically.
Okay. Do the
we ideally we want a ranking on them, like a number.
Yes.
Like 75 users did this one, 2,000 users did this one.
Yes.
Where is that number coming from?
The database.
Like what in the database?
Well, the number probably doesn't exist yet. We probably have to.
I think that we do track it, if I recall the conversation with Eric. So like, yeah. So like the business has 100 favorites. That means at least 100 times a category was picked,
right?
And maybe there's 5 categories. None of those could ever have more than 100 next to it, but some of them will have like picked by 3 people, some by 7.
Okay, so it's the number of times this particular business was favorited as that category.
Yes.
I see.
And that's good for the analytics too, for the business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the other thing too is at some point figuring out how does this match with what is seen on the business profile.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This needs to be clear that these are your 3 visible, 3 primary, however we want to say it, 3 displayed, 3 displayed categories. Maybe we let them order them 1, 2, and 3.
That's what I was thinking too. I was wondering, is that the same? Is this situation the same type of function as when you do favorite something and it says select up to 3?
Yeah.
Will that be a similar kind of function here?
Yeah.
Where we.
Yeah. Select up to 3. It should behave pretty much exactly the same way, which I think it.
Right.
I think that's what this is modeled after.
Now, right now, for some reason, this is the maximum. Yeah.
That says none selected.
Right.
Yeah, you could model after the favorite flow, Jerry.
Right.
Okay. If you favorite something, you'll see like it's the same thing. You can search for categories and you can select up to 3. But I would say, as far as, because this isn't really clear that you're picking 3 to display. So I think we should model it after the favorite flow.
Okay. Got it.
Chantel, did you get my message in Slack? Oh yes, I responded. Slack does not notify me about half the time.
It's failing a lot on me.
I responded.
I see it. Okay, well, Todd, and you guys continue on this. What other things you notice?
This is the big one. This is the main one. As far as everything else we have in there, on the business side, it looks to be functioning as expected. You know, I might need to really trust this a little bit more. Make sure that's working. Okay, hours of operation, that works. And those are really that. And then of course the bio, which I did add already, is in there. Phone number, address, all those things that I can edit are editable. It's a pretty simple, management area, which is nice. It's just really the categories that are absolutely confusing, not clear on how to manage them. The photos is easy to work on. So, yeah. I think if we get the category things figured out, we'll be in really good shape.
Well, what other things? Have you written a bio?
Yeah, bio's in there.
Did it work
I
okay?
need to go through, but it did. Yeah, the bio works. Like I said, the hours of operation, the address.
Did you get feedback from it that?
What do you mean?
Did it tell you confirmation that you added a bio? Like, was everything intuitive?
Yeah, I still have a little ways. I'm not through it all, obviously.
Okay. So, yeah, there's a lot here. There's no way Jerry's going to be able to break off and then just like have this be finished and like the.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. So, Jerry, do you have any questions here, or like what are you doing next?
I think the biggest thing is right now we discussed the categories and how the categories work.
Okay.
And we're going to be cleaning this top section up, making it not look like this. I'm thinking just one per row, and we center the text and put the X to the right side.
Right.
Okay. And then,
well, yeah, I mean the pills should change to the
well, the other pill. Okay, sorry. Repeat that about the pills.
The length should match how much text is in the bubble.
Okay, so the length should match. I was thinking
which it does. I don't know how you got this to happen, but
this is my goal. We were seeing what it would look like if it were stacked, if it would push this too far down.
Yeah, but I think if you go back to how it was and you look at categories that are long and short, you'll see that the pill does proportionally adjust.
Yeah, that's no issue to do in the. I was just removing a line. It's not.
Yeah. Okay.
How it's going to stick.
Okay.
So.
And we want to try to figure out: do we want to display every category that a user has chosen and favoriting? So, see every category assigned to it. Like, will they all be in these blue pills? How does that work?
Right.
And only the top 3 in the list are the ones that are.
Yeah, like the top 3 should say these will display.
Right.
And then have a number by how many times the user selected it.
And then how do they shuffle? Is that important to us? Do we want to can I shuffle the pills in some way? I don't know.
Right. How would you accomplish that, Jerry?
So we want to allow reordering of the pills.
I think that'd be nice.
Yeah, almost like how we reorganized our SOT. I don't know if that's even
I mean,
possible.
we could do it. You know what? It can be. First of all, it already can be done, and I think if people really wanted to, they do figure it out. Which is you X out of them and then add them back.
Redo it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't need to have drag and drop or anything fancy. So simply removing them and then adding them back in the order you want should do it.
And if I F up and think, oh crap, which one did I just delete? Am I able just to hit cancel and come back into it and it's all there?
Yeah. As long as you don't save it.
Right. Okay.
Done. That button shouldn't say done. It should say save.
Okay, I already have that down.
Okay. What else?
How many categories are associated with Text to You?
Let's look at that.
Okay.
Let's look at each one and go through
Yeah.
some scenarios and like do some testing right now.
Yeah.
Is that a question for me or is that a question for John?
No, a question for you. Unless John can see it, I don't know how to see how many categories.
You just want to know, like, from the database? Is that it? Or
Well, yeah, yeah.
so
I'm
you're saying,
curious, as a business owner.
so you're talking about favorite wise? So if I go from
And not that you have the answer, Jerry. How come we are only showing 4 or 5 categories in that management profile?
this might be a link. So sometimes no, never mind. Let me try this in production. Yeah, I only see 2 unique categories that are at least being favorited.
And those are you referring on top level categories or subcategories? When you say that, what do you mean?
Let's see. So electronics and home network installation. Those are the categories that have been selected when somebody favorites Text to You.
These results section down here?
What
am I looking at?
Wait, what are you talking about?
You the screen that you have up.
Oh, this is for everybody that has favorited Text to You. These are the categories that they selected when favoriting. But I only see 2 categories here have been selected, 2 unique categories.
We're not talking about sub level or child. We're talking about top level or.
The solo category, it looks to be electronics and home network installation, and those bubble up to home services.
Okay, but there's 3, right, that show in the profile right now that all users see.
Yeah, but those aren't related. These are only from the favorites. The 3 come from like a direct association. So there's categories that are directly associated with the business, and these are the ones that you as the manager / owner would be modifying. And but then, like John's saying, when they're modifying the categories that would display, they can see from favorites how many users selected electronics, how many users selected home network installation.
Okay. I'm just a little confused. So the ones that we're seeing on the management side that we were looking at, where you listed made the bubbles and made it go from a slider to a list. What are those?
Those come from the primary list here. This comes from the primary list.
What is the so the three that are showing on the main profile, back to you, those are not categories that were selected by favorites of any kind. Those were assigned by us in some other way.
They were either assigned by the owner manually, or they can be assigned by Google when we import it. For example, if you go to in the app, let me go to my simulator. Oh darn it. Let's see. It's gonna send me a code.
I guess the one thing I
think we
understand is how are we going to match what is seen on the business profile and look at it from the management side for the business owner.
I'm just going to find that query that does this. I haven't found that query yet.
I see that.
What we can do is we can almost even have like a section up here describing what it would look like in the app. Once I find that query,
right? Okay.
The logic right here.
Right. So you still have a little bit of work to do before we can put it together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I mean, for us to keep manipulating this, you're gonna need to find all this data first, right? Before we can start manipulating what we see.
I don't know what you mean by manipulate what we see, like
on the management side. So like I said, we can't do that. We can't work on that necessarily right now because we don't know where it's coming from.
I don't think that we're necessarily limited until I find the data. Like we know an example of what will display there.
Okay.
So I mean, we know an example that it's going to match whatever it shows on the profile card in the app.
Okay.
So if there's something you could like show me if you want me to move something over, and if you want to use TechTU as
I'm just saying, what are we at a standstill at the moment until we figure out how to get those categories from the business profile into this management screen?
No, because we know what the data is going to look like.
Okay.
We know the data. We know what the data is going to look like. It's going to be what it shows in the app.
Okay.
So it's going to be coming from there. Like I'm not at a standstill. I'm just taking notes, and
okay.
when we move on, I'm going to start on this list.
Got it. So what's next?
I think essentially what we just went through for categories for each of these pages. Were they intuitive enough? Did they behave properly? Do you have any feedback on it beyond that?
No, right now I'm just focused on the categories.
Okay. I don't know what feedback you have on categories other than what we went over already.
No, I mean, nothing. I have more work to do on my end as far as just confirming all the trusted stuff is working as expected. I think there might be some other refresh situations that I need to confirm. So when I am managing trust tips, that it's clear that it's been removed, or so I could do that on I don't need to take up your time for that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have what you need for now to at least. So okay. Let me go back. On this managed category screen that we're looking at together, if a business has, let's say, it could potentially, this list is going to grow, right? Because there's categories coming from different places based on favoriting, based on how it was assigned initially, right? For example, 3D printing is not on this list. So even though it's on the main page or main business profile.
QA. They could be different. This is what the build represents in QA right now.
Right. Are you saying that everything that in QA, everything that's the 3 categories that I see in QA, in fact, it's just easier if I'm in QA than go down the phone. Okay. Bam. There we go. Okay, so now I can work with you. Okay, I see. That makes way more sense. Okay. All right, so the list that I'm looking at here, web design, electronics repair, and computer and IT services. Okay, so there's 4 that we see on the management side that you're showing me, but we're only showing 3 of the 4. Is that right?
Yeah, and that logic that shows the 3, I'm going to look for that logic.
Sure.
Okay. Do we have what we need for this section, or?
I think so. So what's determining? And that's what we're going to figure out, I guess. So even though there's 4 listed on the management side, we don't know the logic as to which 3 are being shown to the user on the business profile.
Correct, but I'm going to add a preview section. Once I find out logic, I know exactly what it is, and maybe I can have a preview section above here that shows exactly what's going to be displayed in the app.
So is it possible out of the tech to you? So tech to you and QA showed 126 favorites or process. 126 people have favorited. Out of those 126, like John was saying, there could be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different categories that we could be looking at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you'll find all that.
Right.
Okay. And then we'll be able to. Okay, then and if there is 8 or 9, and I guess we'll have to wait to see how that looks. That the blue pills that we see now, that'll double up that list, and then if you start searching for categories, the results will be way down towards the bottom. And I assume we'll be able to scroll to move all that up to look for it. I'll let you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I think for now, I mean, once you can at least put something together, you can let you get to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then and we can come right back to it when you're ready.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have something for you today.
Okay, cool. Awesome. All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Claude.
Yeah, thank you.
Stay with it. Let's get it perfected.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Are we going in today? What do you guys plan?
I'm ready whenever you guys want.
Danny, what are you up to? You there, Danny?
He didn't jump on a call, did he?
Did he?
No, I was looking for my mute button. I was on another tab looking at session replays. I did find a way to search by user ID.
Great. Was it that little modal, the new feature they have?
No, I was already on the right path, but but I had figured out how to sort it by onboarding screen, but it wasn't super accurate. And then I found a tag section that shows the user ID and then figured out how to filter by that. I think it's probably the same feature that was pointing out.
Yeah. Well, that's helpful. Good. So you can search by user ID.
Yes.
That's great.
I was just watching one where a user came in and landed in the chat lobby, and then they hit the check-in button on the nav bar and checked in, and the coins come up, but they're left on the screen with local businesses nearby and just a cancel button. So like you see the coins, you know something happened, but then you're just left like canceling to back out. She did end up hitting the Discover tab. I had to check Amplitude to see that. So she saw her card there. But I think as a user, I might be like a little bit unsure of what to do there.
Some of the things in session replay I noticed, like especially when around the lotties, are not they're not perfectly representing what the user is seeing. So you might see the drawer still there. Like, are you saying the drawer remains?
No, the drawer's not a problem. The drawer comes up, you see the coins, it goes back down, but then you're just left looking at a list of local businesses with a cancel button at the top.
After you checked in.
Yeah.
Well, what would you want?
To navigate.
Is that what you're saying?
See my check-in?
Say that again?
To navigate to the Discover feed and see my check-in?
Yeah, is that what you text me?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we've talked about that before. There's some limitations there, because what if there are 20 cards at that moment? Let's just say, like, we'd have to like scroll you to it. There's probably other ways to handle it, but even then, so like, let's talk about it. So like, okay, so I check in and I go to the Discover feed. What then? What?
Hypothetically, your card would be at the top, right?
Yeah, let's just say it's at top. Yeah, how is that valuable to me?
You're seeing that the action you just took was completed, and that it shows up on a feed for people to see. Okay, now I get it.
Okay. What if I was doing something else when I hit that check-in button?
What would you be doing if you were on the check-in screen?
It could be anything where that nav bar is visible. It could be on another user's profile. It could be on a leaderboard. It could be, it's like a lot of places.
Okay, if that's the case, at the very least, it should take you back to where you were.
Which it does if you close the list of businesses, right?
You have to hit cancel, which is confusing. It's like
that's not intuitive. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It shouldn't be. You're not canceling because you're done.
Right.
Right. Probably the easiest solution to that is change the button to back, and that will cover.
Or put a done button in the upper right that does the same thing.
Well, done imply what? Because you might not be done doing something. Back, I think, would cover all cases, right?
Yeah, back's good enough.
Because if you came there, no matter how you came there, yeah, I should just be back, probably.
Only problem is then it has to detect that you did do a check-in and change to back, because cancel does make sense before you take the action.
Yeah, that's true. Well, wait. Does it matter? I mean, you're not filling out a form. So isn't back just as good?
No, it is. That's what I'm saying. But, oh yeah, I mean, so it just would never say cancel ever.
Well, yeah, why would it need to? Let's think about it. Does it need to?
No.
I don't think it needs to, because if you go back, you're canceling.
No, it doesn't need to.
So we should just change it to back.
Yeah.
And is it truly back? Let me check this out. I mean, it doesn't need to be truly, like, technically speaking, back, as long as the user thinks it's back. But let me make sure that. Yeah, I mean, it is back. You're canceling the mode. Like, technically it's canceled, but like it is, for the user's perspective, it's back.
What she ended up doing was hitting the cancel button, then clicking Discover, and then she clicked on her card and went to favorite it, and then she didn't complete the favoriting flow, which is a whole nother, I don't know why, but
Wait, one step at a time. Let me tell Wells what to do here. Okay, I'll let him know. So what happened?
we ended up going to the discover feed and then clicking the favorite button, but well, she selected her card from her check-in.
Okay, so she went to her check-in, she tapped on the profile or just the heart?
She tapped on the card.
Okay,
And
so that's the profile.
Actually, she did click the favorite button from the card. It says place card, favorite button press. So, and then she hit add to favorites, and then on category selection, she went back. Now, one thing I have seen happen occasionally is, and this wasn't in session replay for some reason, it only captured up to the check-in.
Okay.
But one thing I have seen sometimes is no categories show up, and then you're forced to search one.
Yeah.
And could be why she backed out.
Check the place. Let's see.
Let's see. It's in Arizona. One sec. File. Huh. Auto parts and supplies. No, it came up with mechanic, auto custom, a whole list of them.
Yeah.
So she backed out for whatever reason, but anyways.
Okay. Do we know that for sure?
Well, yeah.
What happened after that?
That was, she ended her session.
So she checked in, went to the feed, and then tapped on the heart, and then tapped the X, or just didn't even tap anything?
Tapped the heart, then she tapped the add to favorites button. She got the category screen.
Yeah, and then what?
And then she hit the back button and she closed the app.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Huh. Yeah, people stop at weird places learning. It's like, wonder why.
I mean, I've seen it in onboarding a couple times too, where they'll stop for a while and then they'll come back a while, a little later. I think it's just, it could be many reasons, but I think there's a lot of distractions and things flying in that can draw your attention away.
From the real world or from the app?
From the real world, from your phone, a text message.
Right.
Comes in.
Yeah, no, I guess I do see people background the app and then come back to it too. Right, of course. Yeah, that's why you get 45 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Now, that doesn't mean she won't come in later.
That's true.
That's where we need good triggers. Ideally, her friend joins and triggers her. What else have you picked up? Okay, like I gave Wells that one fix. Any other things you picked up on that? I picked up on a lot that Cherry we were discussing this morning. Chantel's working on some designs.
This is the first session I looked at. I was working on some other things, but mean, she had a pretty smooth process. She invited some friends with the pink SOT add button. Her chat lobby looked really good. I don't know if she had an inviter yet, so let's see. Yeah, no inviter there. She did allow push notifications. Let's see if One Signal has her as a subscriber. She hasn't received any push notifications yet. That was at 2:09 a.m. last night, so there's probably an automatic trigger that should have fired by now, right?
Yeah, there's one that's supposed to go 3 hours. That's where I want to test. I know none of this stuff is all. I shouldn't say none's working, but it's not all working for sure.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, there was one supposed to be 3 hours later, and we might want to do one 15 minutes later. I don't, you know, we gotta just keep watching session replays and tweaking and seeing what gets us the best data results. But first of all, it's got to fire at all. Sounds like from what you're looking at, there was no notification sent.
I don't see one, but the question is 50184. Let me see if I can figure out if she's shown as a subscriber. Showing her as SMS subscriber, but not to her Android. So, and it does say she granted access. So I kind of want to tempted to send her a message or trigger a notification for her and see if it. But I don't want to interrupt her.
Yeah. Well, what do you say, show?
It's showing her as an SMS subscriber, but not her Galaxy is being subscribed to push.
Oh, so it's the same situation.
Yeah.
That we fixed, but presumably.
When was that sent out?
It's in QA.
Okay, so
not even there.
Okay.
I don't even think that PR is merged.
Right. It's not. It might not. Yeah, it might not even be merged. So that means, fuck. I mean, yeah, we're losing. You know, engagement. There's a million things. That's why we're testing. We have a lot of really solid pieces in place, but without getting them all functioning, they're no good. So, and it's crazy how a little thing like that, like whatever he did to track analytics on that subscription, or he added a subscription. Oops, that's not a good idea. So, yeah, we gotta wait for that. So that means lots of users are not getting notifications that should be.
That's what that would mean.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Weird that it wouldn't subscribe them to push as well, though.
maybe you know, maybe there's something we can do from One Signal side and not have to wait. I don't know if that's realistic, but it's worth investigating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, why don't you tell ChatGPT the situation? If you need help explaining it, ask Jerry, and ask it if we can fix it right now.
Do you know this user key, Danny?
50184.
50184. Okay. User key 50184.
Do you have Claude open?
No, I have I'm just looking at it in a database. Okay, they have a player ID, but let's see. So if I go in one signal, so I was fearing they wouldn't have a player ID, but there is a player ID. But what player ID is it?
What player ID is
It's the push that says not subscribed.
What does that mean?
It just says not subscribed. Like it's not subscribed to push notifications.
This player ID.
Correct.
Yeah, but like, what if one signal lets us just change it? Can you flip a switch?
No, that's
Like a permission thing?
yeah, that's permissions. But and it's a granted, so yeah. I'm just as lost here.
How's that possible
Good question.
that she granted it? Like, even if Wells put something in there that did this other subscription, how does it make it so this one becomes invalid?
Ask ChatGPT. I'm not convinced we can't do something.
Right, and I'm not completely sure about it either. Like why it would end up in that scenario. It's disappointing that one signal just isn't fixing it. Like they aren't doing it.
Maybe a ticket, maybe we should explore some options, maybe.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I'm not disagreeing. at all.
Last time I tried to talk to them about it, we sent them the code, and they're like, "Oh, make sure you're on the latest SDK," which we are now. And they're like, "Oh, well, it's all good here." Well, if you what they want is they want logs.
Okay.
If you can't get them logs, they're just like, "We're not going to help." And the logs only come from you have to. It's like you gotta know how to reproduce it, or you're gonna get garbage data.
Well, we know how.
If we can reproduce this ourselves, like
We know how. I mean, we have a session replay that shows what happened.
where we have it on the session replay. If we can go through and reproduce this ourselves and get the same effect, amazing, great, 10 out of 10. We're gonna have a solution. But if we go run through this and do not get the same results, then we're back on the goose chase.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing it's happening multiple users, so we have the session replay.
But the thing is we need to reproduce it, because what that's going to do is we're going to need to go put one signal in their debug mode,
Okay.
and then step through the onboarding and give the debugging log output to one signal.
Right. But I mean, is it a bug though? Like, it's kind of our own screw up, right? Like, is it really a bug?
And that we cannot conclude that.
I see.
Besides,
Well, we can start by asking the question, based and give them all the facts.
they give a canned response. This has happened multiple times. They give a canned response, and it's basically up until the point of we need logs.
Okay. How do we get the logs?
That's what I'm saying is we need to make sure we can reproduce this ourselves.
Okay, then let's do that. And
If we
then,
produce it ourselves, then once we confirm it is easily reproducible, then we need to go on a simulator or a debugger and then turn on one signal's debugging logs, and then as we reproduce it, capture these debugging logs and just give them the debug dump.
one signal has debugging logs.
Yes, you have to turn it on explicitly though. It's
Why don't we just always have their debugging logs on?
because it's excessive.
And that leads to extra cost, or what?
It would be excessive on our logs. It would log things that it would just like debugging logs are very verbose.
I see. So there'd be a lot of garbage that we'd have to sift through.
Exactly. If we're looking for something else in our logs,
Yeah.
we'd have a lot of one signal logs we need to dump through,
I see.
because it's going to dump everything.
Right. Okay.
So I'm still really unclear on how. Is it possible Wells has messed up this notification permission granted event, and is Wells with us right now?
Yeah, well, sir.
Wells, is it possible this notification permission granted event is tracking inaccurately at times? Maybe they hit denied, or is that not possible, Jerry? Based on what you see, are you seeing that they were for sure granted on one?
I know they were granted because I know the next step in onboarding says I'm fetching your contacts if it's granted. If it's not granted, it doesn't say I'm fetching your contacts. So I know it's granted.
We're talking about contacts, or we're talking about notifications?
Oh, sorry.
Notification. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm checking right now when that event is fired.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, let's make sure we can reproduce it. I know we have session replays. I know it's all similar, but we got to reproduce it ourselves. We reproduce it ourselves. We can have Ismail, Wells, myself turn on the debugging mode in the simulator, and then we reproduce it on the simulator. And if we reproduce it successfully, we will have enough debugging logs to where we can actually get some help from one signal.
I am quite confident we will reproduce it every time following the same steps.
And then if we can, then we can just spit out the debug logs and we'll get help from one signal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but-
just checked we're firing the event, and it's especially after we request the permissions to the user and actually get the result of what the user decided. So I don't see why anything here like wouldn't represent exactly what happened when the user was interacting.
You don't see why what?
I don't see why we would have a problem in this event. Like it seems like a pretty straightforward scenario in where it's fired. It's right after we ask for the permissions.
But I thought we determined yesterday that was the cause of the problem.
No, there was other thing. There was other issue with One Signal SDK and how we integrate the user in One Signal. This is for it's an amplitude event for when we ask for the permissions about the notifications, and once the user hits either block or deny or grant, we come here. It's some different in the platforms. Like for Android, it asks a thing, and for iOS, it asks another thing, but the results are the same.
Mm-hmm.
The possibilities.
So how would you proceed here, Jerry?
Okay, we reproduce the issue.
Okay.
We confirm we can reproduce it. So John, you and Danny and Todd can spin up a new test phone or whatever to where we can retest this from a clean slate. Y'all can test it among yourselves, and if you confirm, successfully.
Danny, Todd, will you get 2 new numbers, please?
Go for it.
Yeah, and so, and Jerry, sorry to interrupt you, but now I'm wondering, did we not solve the problem? Like, I thought we solved the reason the user didn't get the notification and had that weird double state of like SMS approved, notification not approved.
Well, this person still has an SMS subscription, which is something that's being created from whenever the code that Will's added that's adding the SMS subscription. Like, I don't want the SMS subscription in there because I believe it could be open to, some possibility of getting interfered with.
Okay, what if we turned off the SMS subscription? Does that open up all of the notifications?
We can't do that unless we try it from the app side. Like we can't.
You don't think we could do it in One Signal? We can't just deny someone notifications? I bet we could.
If I go in here and I view the subscription, okay, let me find their subscription. Let me delete it.
Yeah.
SMS subscription, and let's see what happens. Okay, it still says that they're unsubscribed.
They're unsubscribed to what?
Push notifications.
But now they're no longer subscribed to the SMS one.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Well, so that's something.
Now, the ID that we're receiving is still their push token. So it wasn't an SMS token, which is good, but it doesn't explain why they are showing unsubscribed. But okay, here, I guess, continuing, we reproduce this, we confirm we can reproduce it, and then once we've confirmed we can reproduce it, then we have to get the debugging logs. If we do not get the debugging logs to one signal, we are just going to get nothing but canned responses prompting us for the debugging logs until we get it to them. So that's the way to proceed this.
Okay, so let's go ahead with that. So Todd, are you getting the new numbers?
I went through onboarding. Sorry, I didn't even hear what Jerry just said. Jerry, can you repeat that one more time for me?
Like what we need to do? We're just
no, that part's clear. Sorry if that's what you said.
Okay, so what were you gonna say?
I was reading a Claude message here. Because the thing is, I went through onboarding earlier on my phone and it worked perfectly.
You what?
I had deleted the app and went through onboarding on my phone and it registered me perfectly. But then again, I wasn't.
No. It's that case where you invite somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And they are a ghost user for a minute. Okay. Then, so you invite them through SMS in onboarding. That's what creates the weird permission states.
Yeah.
So let's reproduce it. It's happening often, which is good. We want people inviting people in onboarding, which is fantastic. We just don't want them getting shut out of notifications. That kind of like defeats the whole purpose of it.
That's right. All right, I'm gonna delete the app here. Stop resetting numbers.
I didn't hear if he responded. Todd, can you hear me? Did he say he was leaving?
I'm out for about 15 minutes. Should be back at about 11:40.
Okay, so no, he's not. Do you know how to do it?
No, Ian can do it.
Ian's here.
I am, but I do need the current phone numbers in order to make any changes. If you can send those to me in a text or Teams or whatever, I can get on it right away.
I have my number. I need Todd's though. It won't show you the ones that were made yesterday, will it?
Not to my knowledge, but I will log in and confirm.
And I bet you it's real close to whatever my number is. They're oftentimes like very similar.
Yeah, the business account is kind of, it's difficult to navigate. I'm checking.
This is the one I have. Just text it to you.
Cool. I'll knock yours out first. By the way, I had a